when it comes to our capacity to visualize a better and bigger future than what we currently have. Many people believe that they don't have what it takes to even consider a better or bigger future. Because as they try to consider a better future, they seem to be bound by two key things: the skill it will take to make these things happen, and the will to manifest the work. So they remain at the foot of the mountain. But I would like to share with you that when it comes to visualizing a better and bigger future, you don't need to focus too much on any skills that you have. You don't need to focus so much on the will to make certain things happen. The only thing that you need to focus on is the muscle of this mental faculty known as imagination. Let me just prove it to you. In 1545, a young man by the name of Leonardo da Vinci started writing a manuscript called Treatise on Flight. And in this manuscript, he's talking about all the different ideas that he came up with when it comes to man's ability to fly up in the air. Amongst the many things that he foresaw back in the days, way before we have access to technology such as cars, the man was able to see that yes, one day we're going to fly up in the air. And amongst the idea that he had back in the days, he sat down and he was looking at the need to have the army come up with a better way to actually win the war. And he said to himself, I can see the birds flying in the air, and I can see that maybe one day we need to put together something that may look to eventually like a paraglider. But I can also see the need to put together something that's going to allow, during a military campaign, one side to simply gain the upper hand by simply flying something in the air that's going to give them the ability to read the position of the enemy. In other words, he was thinking of instrument that today we know as a drone. But here's the funny thing. Right now in Haiti, there is a gang that's known as 5 Seconds, otherwise known in English as 5 Seconds. This gang is led by a young man by the name of ISO. And ISO distinguished himself amongst many other gangs out there because he was able to provide his unit with a military uniform. Number one, he was able to provide them also with military rifles, some of them produced in Belgium for top military around the world. And he was also able to do something key. He was able also to acquire drone technology. So in one of the fights he was having with the local police, he was now able to demonstrate how to use his drone. So his people were fighting on the ground, and from a remote place he was able now to read the position of the local police. And guess what? Of course, he had the upper hand. So why am I talking about 5 Seconds? Not so much to promote what they're doing, but I'm talking about it because I keep saying, I said to myself, but this is something that Leonardo da Vinci foresaw in 1505. So the ability to jump up in the air and now start seeing things that were far beyond his time was simply made possible because the gentleman was able to simply put pressure on the muscle of his imagination. So as far as you are concerned, as far as your own unique situation is concerned, the only one thing I'm going to ask you to do this is to simply focus on the muscle of your imagination. So instead of just being bound by the lack of skills that you may have when it comes to getting to the next level, instead of being bound by the weak will you may have when it comes to making certain things happen, I'm going to only ask you to do one key thing. Let your imagination go wild. As you let your imagination go wild, slowly but surely it's gonna start painting a picture of the future, and slowly but surely it's also gonna start help you reverse engineer and give you exactly the step that you need to consider in order to get to your next level. Let me tell you why. Because when the Wright brothers decided to put together the first aircraft that came to be known as the ancestor in the world of airplanes, guess what they did? They referred to Da Vinci's writings. Why? Because someone 500 years before them had simply gone up in his imagination and started seeing things that were so far beyond his time and the technology of the time. Why? Because he let the muscle of imagination run wild. And that's the only thing I'm going to ask you to do on this beautiful Saturday morning. All right? I'm going to stop right here. Take good care, my friend. The best is yet to come, but you have to be intentional.